We're in the middle of this chapter on noble character, and we had started. So it says, we did that part of faith. It says, عن عمران بن حسين رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال الحياء لا يأتي إلا بخير. The modesty does not bring anything but good. We could say modesty only brings good. Right, so we spoke about this last week. There's hayat before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and before other people, something that it's a natural and developed trait that stops one doing shameful things, stops one doing embarrassing things, leads one to interact, for example, with the opposite sex in a certain way, leads one to interact with people who are elder than you in a certain way. Okay, so it's something that is noble and beautiful. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so we spoke about hayat. وعن أبي مسعود البدري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال إن مما أدرك الناس من كلام النبوة أي الأولى إذا لم تستحي أو إذا لم تستحي فاصنع ما شئت. So Abu Mas'ud al-Badri, he narrates that the Prophet ﷺ said, truly from what has reached us from the speech of prophethood, i.e. previous prophets have mentioned this, and this has reached us as maxims and as phrases and principles. He says, if you have no modesty, then do as you please. Meaning, if you honestly, right, i.e. that's meaning that people, if they don't care about something, then they will end up doing whatever they want. Right? It doesn't mean if you're not shy, go ahead and do it. What it means is you have a problem. Like if you're really not ashamed of doing this, or that person is really not ashamed of doing it, then he has a major problem, because if he has no modesty, he'll end up doing all sorts of things, right? So the phrase, I think, in the American phrase is, he got no shame, right? This person's got no shame. Like, you're not ashamed of that? Like, how are you not ashamed of that? How are you not ashamed of it, right? So people who have no shame, they'll do whatever they want, right? And that's why even in court, there are people who have no shame. We won't accept their testimony. We won't accept their testimony because they're not reliable. Like somebody who acts like a fool, for example, he pretends to be a baby and walks in the street wearing a giant baby suit. Right? Is that haram? It's not haram. But you have no shame. You have no sense of like what is appropriate or not appropriate. You just do random things. So such a person, we will not accept their testimony in court because they have no shame. And so it's an important concept. وعن عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال عليكم بالصدق فإن الصدق يهدي إلى البر وإن البر يهدي إلى الجنة. He said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, see well to be true, sidq, speaking the truth and being true. Because being true leads one to al-bir, comprehensive, widespreading goodness, all sorts of goodness. وَإِنَّ الْبِرَّ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ, and widespread comprehensive goodness leads to paradise. وَمَا يَزَالَ رَجُلُ يَصْدُقُ وَيَتَحَرَّى الصِّدْقَ حَتَّى يُكْتَبَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ صِدِّيقًا. And a person keeps on, a man will not cease speaking the truth, or he will not cease trying to be true, trying to be genuine and sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until he is recorded with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a Siddiq, as an ever truthful or deeply truthful, deeply sincere person. Right? And the hadith continues, and be careful of being false, because falsehood leads to all sorts of evils, and these evils lead to hell. and a person keeps on lying and lying and lying and being false and false and false, lying to himself, right? Being fake to himself, fake to other people, until he is written in Allah's eyes as a rank liar. And it's very scary, right? وعن الحسن بن علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك فإن الصدق طمأنينة وإن الكذب ريبة. So Hussein, Sayyidina Hussein radiallahu anhu narrates from that the Prophet ﷺ said, that from his grandfather, the Prophet ﷺ, that he said, leave that which gives you doubt for that which does not give you doubt. This is a huge principle, right? This is a huge principle, right? It comes in morality. Is this a noble thing to do? Is this a noble email to send? Is this a noble text to send? Is this a beautiful thing to say? Right? Or is it not? Right? And so if you're not sure, don't say it. But just stop and think. Why not? Stop, slow down, think. Right? Is that a nice thing to say? Is that a polite thing to say? Is that rude? Right? Are those clothes appropriate? Is this the way I'm talking to this person? Is it appropriate? A lot of things are 50-50, right? The Sharia cannot come along and give you a rule. They can say what showing off is, but whether or not you're showing off, that's up to you. If you're not sure, stop, think, right? Feel. Try and get the sense of what's going on, right? You're not sure about something, leave it. دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك, right? That's in terms of akhlaq, in terms of character. In terms of fiqh, right? It confirms a key principle, two sides of a key principle, which is number one, leave that which you're not sure about for that which you are sure about. So the default, you go to what's called istishab al-hal, the default state of something, right? The default state of something. So for example, I'm going to pray on the ground. What is the default state of the ground? That is pure. Here's some bread. What is the default state of bread? That is pure. Right? What's the default that I prayed? You prayed. Okay, did I pray properly or not? I don't know. What the default is that you pray properly. Was that contract accurate? Was that valid or not? The default is valid. Right? So whenever we have something that's unclear, we go to the default. What is the default? Right? And you go back to the default and you build on that. Now, but it also comes to what? So are you comfortable eating this bread? Do you know where it's from? Do you know which shop sold it to you? Oh, okay, I'm not sure. This company is very suspect. I don't like it. So leave that which gives you doubt for that which doesn't give you doubt. So it has two sides. One is you base something on uncertainty, and so that's the default. That's in terms of wujub, in terms of obligation. But in terms of wara', in terms of scrupulousness, something else. Right? Scrupulous is another level. Right? Scrupulousness is on the level of something very, very different, which is I want to eat halal, I want to avoid doubtful contracts, doubtful people, etc. That's something else. Right? But it's important when it comes to character traits is that you need to check yourself. Now, here's the problem. What if you have no internal audit? What if you have no idea what's going inside you? We have a problem, right? So the first thing we need to start doing with a human being is building your internal audit, the functioning of questioning yourself, the idea that you are not the media man painting your own history as best as possible, but rather you are a critic of your own self. These are the problems with you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the more you dig, the more you find out what's going on. And then you get a proper picture. You realize that isn't a problem of mine. I don't have that problem. Somebody might claim that, but that's not true about me. But this is a problem with mine. And you know what's going on. But somebody who has none of that, they don't have this thing. They don't have this thing which is like that which makes you give you down because they don't doubt themselves. Whatever they want becomes halal. If their nafs wants it, it becomes halal. If their nafs wants it, riba becomes halal. If their nafs wants it, being rude becomes halal. Their nafs, right? Man ittakhadha ilahahu hawahu, right? He who has taken as his God his own caprice. How Allah describes it, right? I'm right because I'm right. And so you have to start fighting that and saying, well, that's not halal, you can't do that. And how do you start fighting that? With that which is blatantly obvious. This is a lie, that's haram, make tawbah, don't do it again. Every single time you made that lie, you chide yourself. Astaghfirullah. No, you did something wrong. Start taking yourself to task. Right? And nafs al-lawwama, as Allah describes it, the continually self-rebuking and self-complaining soul. Like, this is wrong. You have done what is wrong. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Ask that question, right? And this person develops a knack for finding out what's right and wrong, and they find things inside themselves, right? When they find those things themselves, they know, for example, right now, Freed goes downstairs and shouts at some kids. Are you shouting at kids because they're annoying you, or you're shouting at kids because they're doing something wrong? What do you mean? There's a big difference. One is halal and one is haram. Shouting at somebody for your own ego is haram. Shouting at somebody because they're doing harm to somebody else is permissible or wajib. There's a big difference. But if you have no idea, because whenever somebody annoys you, whether it's right or wrong, you do whatever you want, then you have no idea what's going on. And you run around life just doing crazy things. Running around life doing crazy things. And you have no sense here. No sense of what's going on. And so developing this sense is very important. This is the basis of morality, right? You cannot there's a limit of what you can do with a bunch of rules, because what's happening internally is quite complex. And so there's only so much you can do by telling somebody this is halal, this is haram, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to work out what they were doing and whether it was halal or it was haram. Were you showing off or you're not showing off? Was it this? Was it that? Was it cruel or was it firm? That's quite difficult. Like, the scholar can't help you there. You have to work that out for yourself, right? But you have to be digging it yourself, otherwise you have no idea what's going on inside. And then he says, what? فَإِنَّ الصِّدْقَ طُمَأْنِينَةٌ. He says, because truth provides peace to the heart. It is. So that you sense like, no, that's what I did was right. Like, I am doing what is right. What I said was right. Like, for example, I told somebody off for something that wasn't being cruel, that was standing up for justice. وَإِنَّ الْكَذِبَ or al-kidhba, you can say both, but normally you say al-kadhib, right? We don't say al-kidhb. Al-kadhib riba, right? And lying creates doubt, uncomfortable doubt. Riba is uncomfortable doubt, right? You said those words, you dressed in that way, you spoke to that person, you walked past that person, you sped up, you slowed down, you spent this money, you didn't spend that money. Whatever choices you're making in life, why did you do it? You bought that nice car. Did you buy that nice car because it's a quality car and you need a nice car, or because you like the dunya? Problematic, right? How do you feel after it? So again, once you work on yourself, you will have these feelings. Doesn't feel right. It does feel right. I'm genuinely happy that this happened, right? There's something I'll be proud of. The Prophet ﷺ was here, and I said, look, Ya Rasulullah, I did the right thing. And he'd be proud of me. Or he'd be like, look at me, and I'd be like, oh man, I know what you're looking. I know what you're saying. Okay? But we have to work on ourselves, because if you do not work on yourself, you just as one sheikh describes it as a monkey in a tree. He just head case. Right? They're just like totally crazy. You don't know what's going on. Right? وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال التاجر الصدوق الأمين مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء. He says the truthful, the deeply truthful and reliable tradesman or businessman is with the prophets, will be with the prophets and the truly truthful and the martyrs on Judgment Day. Right? So there are certain temptations in life that are very difficult. Money is a difficult one. Money is a very, very difficult one. When it comes to money, all sorts of people will cut corners. Very common. So they'll cut some corners and cut further corners, and then they walk into the pure haram. Right? And so it's very, very difficult to see money and then not lie a little bit here and lie a little bit there, etc., etc., etc. Right? Look at any advert. An advert is not genuine. An advert is trying to make you buy something, whether or not you need it. Right? That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to make you feel like you need that thing. So it's not really genuine. Whereas a person who is pure genuine, I would not advise you buy this car, I'd advise you buy this car. And these are the problems with it, but I think it's a good idea. It's up to you. Right? But most people, they don't talk to you like that. Right? They're just trying to get as much money as possible, as long as they can get away with it. Right? And there's many things, and then it comes to the workplace, right? Many people who work in the tertiary sector, if you're employed, ooh, right? So I remember this exact feeling, right? I remember this exact feeling. I was working for an organization, and I had to do live sessions like this, and I had to turn up a certain time, like I do, and I had to upload recordings, like I do, and I had to check links, like I do. But I remember something that I didn't realize while I was working for that company. I left the company and they always talk about please check the links to make sure they're right, and please do this, and please do that, and please do this, and please do that. Oh, yeah, sure. Right? I'm being genuine. Yeah, of course, right? I'm a religious person, inshallah, trying to not. But then when it comes to when I was teaching by myself, for myself, and those links, if those links are down, it's a bad service for my customers and it's going to affect my income. Suddenly it's very different. Suddenly it's very different. So suddenly when the money is in your hands, it's very, very different. Very, very different. And this is one of these problems. So that means, Fareed, with all due respect, when you were working for that company, you weren't being genuine. Right? Inshallah, may Allah forgive me if I did anything haram. Inshallah, I didn't do anything haram. But it's not the same. It's not saduq. It's not like genuine. Right? ويل للمطففين الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. Right? Woe to the people who take stint. They don't give the true measure. الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون. When they take their measure, they take the full. You want your full salary. You'd be annoyed if they took some money off your salary, right? Yeah, you'd be upset because money hurts. وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. But when they weigh for others, or they measure out for others, يخسرون. They don't give the full amount. All right. So this is very, very important, the 9 to 5. Right? So the breaks that you are taking or the focus that you're taking, if you're generally happy that the manager would not mind, they know what you're doing. They know obviously you work 8 hours, you do not work 8 hours flat. Obviously you take a break here, you take a break there, right? You can check an email here or there, you can answer a phone call as long as you're getting the work done, etc. Right? But there are some people, mashallah, they're doing 2 jobs online. How are you doing 2 jobs online? 2 full-time jobs online. How is that possible? Right? Now, if your manager knows that, like I honestly don't care. It's a full-time position. If you get the job done, I don't care. Not a problem. Fine. Not a problem. But they realize that you're saying, oh yeah, nearly finished the project. Nearly finished the project. They're like, please, we need it by the end of the day. They're expecting you're working. They're thinking you're working 8 hours, but you're actually working 4 hours. And they're thinking that you are doing all this work, but you're not. Right? So we have to be, when money comes, money is a trick, right? It's a big thing. Money and the opposite sex. Ooh, big tests. Big tests. Right? That's why I mentioned that hadith before. The guy could get away with it. She's beautiful and she had connections. Get away with the haram and get away with this. That was a big issue. Big issue. Right? They say in Arabic, al-malu akhun nafs. They say that money is the very brother of the soul. Like it's just like it's stuck to it. Right? Changes everything. You repeat the way suddenly somebody has lots of money, they have less money, how you look at them, how you don't look at them, right? Money is a huge thing. And so when you can be genuine, like and this is why Imam Muhammad Hassan Shaybani, the author of Muwatta Imam Muhammad, he was asked to write a book on zuhud, on unattachment to the dunya. What did he write? He wrote Kitab al-Kasb. He wrote a book on earning. Because it says, if you can earn in a halal way, then you're a zahid, then you don't care about the dunya. If you can make sure you do things properly, then it's great. so many people, it's you cut corners here, you cut corners there, right? And you want to get what your side of it, but you're not happy to give the full. Right? May Allah, so that's why the Prophet I'm saying is that those people who are genuine, they are saduq. Saduq means the very substance of truthfulness. They really care. And ameen, that you can trust with them. You leave the money with them, they will give that money back. Very few people are like that. Very few people are like that. Okay, وعن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال من ترك الكذب وهو باطل بني له في ربض الجنة ومن ترك المراء وهو محق بني له في وسطها ومن حسن خلقه بني له في أعلاها. Amazing hadith. Anas ibn Malik narrates that the Prophet said, whoever abandons lying while it is uttered in jest will have a palace built for him on the outskirts of paradise. So he's just joking, but it's not haram, but you shouldn't do that. And whoever stops arguing while he is correct, I understand that you are true, that you're correct, but is it useful? Yeah, but Mustafa, it is your fault though, right? Isn't it? Like it is. You're the reason why we're late. You're the reason why we missed the airplane. Okay, fine, but how is that useful? We've all missed a flight. Is it useful to win the argument against the other person? No. What's the point? If there's no benefit in it, just be generous and it's okay. Be noble and don't argue. Everybody has to argue. Everyone has to be right. Prove this, prove that. Yeah, but you did say it though, didn't you? Okay. If that person did say what they did say, what is the point? What are you trying to make? What's the point you're trying to make? Oh, but I get emotional capital by proving them they're wrong, that I'm right. What's that? That's nothing. That's not a thing. If you're trying to prove something financial in court, fine. If you're trying to prove what is right and what's wrong, it's fine. Is it? That's fine. Trying to explain something to somebody to help them, fine. But there's no particular point, right? You're just arguing because you're good at arguing, or sometimes you're just better at arguing. You're better with words. You can turn people around in circles, right? You're a good lawyer. Why? Right? So if you can do that, so you're able to do that, even though you're right, you'll have a place built for him in its middle. And Imam Shafi'i said, I never debated with anybody, an academic debate. I never debated with anybody, save that I prayed that the truth be manifest on my opponent's tongue. I am not here to prove that I'm right and you're wrong. I'm here to prove that the truth is right. So inshallah, it will appear on your tongue or not mine. That's the point of the debate. It's genuine. And whoever beautifies his character will have a place built for him in its highest part. Right? So you have to step out of yourself and say, are you a nice person to be around, to work with, to share a house with, to share a life with, to share a country with, or are you a headache? Right? Many people, unfortunately, are headaches. They pray, they fast, but they're a headache. Like it's really not nice. Right? That's why one of the most important things is where do we find akhlaq? Marriage. Everybody has amazing akhlaq at work. MashaAllah. He's so helpful. She's so helpful. She's so modest. He's so modest. He's so nice. MashaAllah, they pray, they fast. Okay, now put these two people in a room and let's see how we have character now. Now we can start talking about character. Right now we can start talking about character because everything else is skateboarding. Now it's like this is real character now. Okay, because why? Because there's so much emotional investment. And so it's very easy to be hurt and it's very, very easy to lash out and complain, lash out and do this and try and get this, try and get that. And can't believe she said that. I can't believe you just said that. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe she did that. Da, 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 da. And it just builds up, builds up, builds up. Where's the akhlaq? Where's the character? Right? You're right, but you make the other person feel comfortable about them and you help in nurturing them as opposed to continually prove that they're wrong. What's the point of being proved that you're wrong? Doesn't help you at all. Argument ended. It proves that I'm bad and you're good. Okay, how do I feel about anything? Nothing. What was the point of that? Did you uplift me? No. My wife managed to prove to me that the reason I have no money is because I'm lazy. What was the point of that? Like, how did that help me? So she won the argument. You are lazy. That's why you don't have a job. Okay. What was the point of that? I managed to prove to her that the reason why the dishes weren't done is because she was lazy. It's because her mom spoiled her. It's like, okay, maybe her mom spoiled her, and that she really doesn't have like the himma to do housework. What was the point of that? So there's no khuluq, there's no character. I won a case, great. You won the argument, you lost the marriage. What was the point? You managed to prove to your son that he was wrong. How did that help your son? You managed to prove to your daughter that she was lying at the end of the day, right? How did that help her? If it helps her, like, listen, I do know you're lying, okay, even though you're lying, but that's okay. Let's move on. Like, how are you building people, right? Are you a nice teacher? Are you a nice husband? Are you a nice driver? Are you a nice employer? Are you a nice employee? Are you a nice neighbor? Are you a nice person to be around that makes things easy for people? Or are you a genuine headache, right? And again, just see how many arguments that are around you. Yeah, but it's always everyone else's fault. I don't think so. The fact that you're involved in arguments all the time, is not everyone else's fault. It's not your wife's fault. It's not your husband's fault. It's not your brother's fault. It's not your sister's fault. It's your fault. You're always in an argument with somebody. It's a problem. Because if 90% of the time you can just forgive and forget, why can't you do that? I don't want to forgive them. What was the point in that? So if it's money and you're not willing to part with that money, okay. Like that's $10,000. I can't just overlook that. I need it. Okay. Makes sense. But half the time, it's not like that. Half the time it's like, yeah, but he intentionally didn't invite me. Okay, he intentionally didn't invite you. Forgive him. I don't want to forgive him. Okay, you have a problem then. You're too stubborn to forgive. You're too stubborn to move on. You're too stubborn, right? Many people are like this. They're just bad akhlaq. And they cut off their nose to spite their face. So good akhlaq, this is what we need to work on. وعن أبي أمامة الباهلي رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال كفى بالمرء من الكذب أن يحدث بكل ما سمع. So Abu Umama al-Bahili narrates that the Prophet ﷺ said, it is enough for a man to be considered a liar if he narrates forwards, right? Every email that comes to him, every hadith that he hears, every TikTok video that comes his way, they just share it. That you share everything that's sent to you, right? So this is why this whole thing, if the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba saw social media, they were like, what the heck is this? That's what the language they would use. Which part of hell is this leading people to, right? Heck means hell, right? They say, what the heck is this? Which part of hell is this, right? Because 95% of it is a total waste of time. 90% of it is sharing information that's not sound. 95% of it is sharing information that's lies. That's waste of time, etc. So we shouldn't, we shouldn't busy ourselves. We should be noble and high, right? How did the chapter begin? Chapter begin is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yuhibbul karam. He loves nobility. ويحب معالي الأخلاق and high noble character. ويكره سفسافها and he hates dislikes lowly character. Right? So 95% television, 90% or 5% of social media is like that. Right? And so you just quoting every single thing that you hear, everything that's forwarded, you shouldn't do that. Right? And so you should only forward something that you have confidence about. So there's information in it that you're confident about. Either you know or you're confident. Here's a hadith that look, it says Abu Dawood, so it must be reliable. It says Sheikh so-and-so said it must be reliable. Oh, this is a very interesting thing about dieting. This is an interesting thing about education. This is an interesting thing about uh, educating children. I don't know, whatever it is, the interesting thing about the environment, right? You're sharing an academic thing, right? But if it's just nonsense and you're sharing it with somebody else, somebody said this, right? So wives' tales, right? So the people say this, people say that. It's like, well, who said that? Don't just copy whatever people say and don't qil wa qal, right? And speech. he said and she said. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates this stuff. وعن عبادة بن الصامت رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال ليس من أمتي من يجل كبيرنا ويرحم صغيرنا من لم يجل كبيرنا ويرحم صغيرنا ويعرف لعالمنا حقه. Okay, Ubadah ibn Samit raised the Prophet ﷺ said, he is not of my ummah who does not honor our elderly, show mercy to our young, or recognize the rights of our scholars. Right? And so you have to have respect for older people. Right? The other day there was this kid sitting on a bench, okay, and an older person comes and sits, so he's sitting on the top of the bench, okay, and an elderly person comes along and sits next to him, and I look at him like, you got to move. He said, oh, but it's not my fault. I was sitting there first. It's like, yeah, he's older than you. He's like 3 times your age. You have to show respect to people who've been on the earth longer than you, who have built the earth that you live on, right? And you have to have mercy and kindness for kids because they don't know they honestly don't know what's going on. They haven't landed on planet Earth yet, right? And it does not recognize the rights of scholars. This person taught you. He's not perfect, that's true. Your sheikh might not be perfect, he might have faults, and you might be aware of some of their faults, but you have to show respect for the person who taught you, whatever it is. Right? The person taught you how to read or write, the person who taught you how to drive, the person who taught you anything, taught you deen, taught you how to pray. So the ulama, right? Once I was reading a book of fiqh, and the book, I have it right here to my right here, Fath al-Jawad by Ibn Hajar, and I was reading a section, I was like, oh my God, like this is just does not make any sense. So in my heart of hearts, I was like saying, this is just dumb. Sorry, with all due, like without due respect, this is just dumb. Within about 5 seconds or 10, a few minutes, I was throwing up in the bathroom. What was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showing me? He says, even in your heart, you can't disrespect scholars. Even in your heart, you can't disrespect scholars. You have to show respect. You have to show respect if you don't agree with them, if you don't like their style, if you don't like their focus, if you don't like what they're talking about, if you don't like them, if they embarrass you, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You have to show respect because this person is a means for other people to do the deen. And without a scholar, there's no deen. So it's very important. Respect for books, right? Respect for printers of books, whatever it is. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لا تنزع الرحمة إلا من شقي. Abu Hurairah narrated that Prophet ﷺ said, mercy is not plucked out of anybody, saved the damned. Right? Somebody who is damned to hell, that's the person who Allah takes mercy out of. So somebody who really doesn't care, right? They're not upset. So I remember once one of my managers, he told one of the people off, and the guy left, like walked out of the office. And my manager was really, really concerned, right? So yeah, he eventually fired that guy later on, but that didn't mean he didn't care, right? It didn't mean he didn't care. Like he really, really cared about that person, cares about how he is, cares about his livelihood, cares about his kids, cares about everything, right? So you have to care, right? When you just stepped on, you just killed a fly, you have to care. When anybody in the world is suffering, you have to care, right? You have to be like the guy in the Green Mile. You both know the Green Mile? What's his name? In the Green Mile. What's his name? Uh, where is this person? John Coffey. That's it, John Coffey. So he's like this person who has so much, so much. Yeah, you found him. Okay. So anyway, it's like he's like unbelievable amount of compassion. He's an empath, right? So we all have to be empaths. Now it can be difficult being an empath because you can sometimes feel too much pain, right? There's some people they just it's almost uncontrollable. Um, Fiver, I think his name was Fiver in Watership Down, right? There's a book and a cartoon, Watership Down, about rabbits. And so he has premonitions and feels the suffering around him. Whenever there's like death on the horizon, he feels it and has all these dreams, right? But it's better to be like that than somebody who's callous, right? Like, I don't care, not interested, right? So you can do things that are harsh, right? But you can't be harsh, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about stoning people to death, right? Like, imagine stoning somebody to death. That's pretty rough, right? Right, somebody's committed zina and they've confessed or they've been witnessed, etc. And this person is going to be tied there, and you're going to throw stones at them until they die. Like imagine seeing that first stone hit. Like that person does not die, right? They don't die. That really hurts, right? So that's like a really, really pain. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَأْخُذْكُمْ رَأْفَةٌ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ. Right? Don't be taken by ra'fah, by mercy and kindness and concerning the judgment of Allah. I.e., don't let that stop you doing it. But that doesn't mean you don't care. You have to feel pain for other people's pain. You have to feel pain for other people's pain. And the only person who doesn't care, like, I don't know, no, not really care, is somebody who is a shaqi, is somebody who is damned to hell. May Allah protect us. وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الرفق لا يكون في شيء إلا زانه ولا ينزع من شيء إلا شانه. Right, it says truly gentleness, right? 99% of the time we need to be gentle. 99% of the time I'm talking to myself as a father, all right? 99% of the time and as a teacher, 99% of the time and as a colleague, 99% of the time, just be gentle. Don't don't be head on. People do not need to be challenged head on, right? They need to say, for example, Mustafa, why haven't you done the project? You see, we all know that many of us are struggling with getting this project done on time. But this is what we need to do, and this is why. Can you see the difference? Right? So Mustafa, who, for example, I know he's just not doing the project. He hasn't done it. Just it's been 2 weeks. He hasn't finished it yet. So instead of saying, Mustafa, do the work, what's your problem? It's not very useful. It doesn't actually help. It doesn't help the situation at all. 95% of the time, right? So and so, why aren't you wearing hijab? That's not a very useful thing to say to somebody, is it? Right? You say, man, we all know how hard it is to wear the hijab. So hard. Totally understand it. Right? Totally understand. Let's all think about how we can all wear hijab. Right? Prophet used to speak like that. What's wrong with some people who do things like this, as opposed to what's wrong with you? Right? It's not very useful. There's certain times, certain places, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he was very harsh with Sayyidina Umar. Sayyidina Umar was coming in to become Muslim, grabs him and says, like, when are you going to stop, Umar? When is this nonsense going to stop? Right? And he's like, no, I'm going to. So he was harsh with him. But maybe Sayyidina Umar needs that, right? But 99% of the time, gentle, gentle, gentle. It's not useful. Like, people don't need to be shouted at, right? And you just see so many times, even just from a dunya point of view, it's not going to work. The police, does it help to enforce the police enforce the law with violence or being a nice person? One of the key things a policeman does is de-escalate a situation, calm things down. You're not going to change the rules, but you have to calm things down. So this is the default. So that means put your nafs away and be nice, gentle, right? And do things very indirectly, right? Because it doesn't really work half the time. right? I'll just give you an example. I won't go get too specific, but right. So just being indirect about things. Help pull people up and up sort of as opposed to show them how low they are. Right? It generally doesn't happen. Most time doesn't help at all. وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال إن الله يحب الرفق في الأمر كله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed, the Prophet said, Allah loves gentleness in all things. In the way you type, in the way you print, in the way you make money, right? I remember there was a student once. He was mid 40s, I guess, mid 40s, and he was like principal of a school. So he was principal of Islamic school, but he wasn't educated Islamically. But he was one of these go-getters, right? Like, I want to be the top. So then what did he do? Is he wanted to do, I was working for this organization, he wanted to do all levels of Arabic and fiqh and hadith in one go. So he's just very aggressive. Like, I want to do it all now. Right? That's not going to work. So when you learn, you do things gently. When you do exercise, you do things gently. If you want to do exercise in a non-gentle way, see what happens to your body. You're going to hurt yourself and you're going to put yourself months back. Everything gentle. Everything gentle. Right? That's how we do things. Right? I remember my dad telling me, rahimahullah, says Farid, my dad, he had taken apart an engine before. He said, Farid, don't rev the engine. I was like, why? It's not a big deal. It's just a car. Like, oh, I can't rev the engine. It's like, don't rev the engine. So do you know how much pressure you put on the head gasket? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then what? My head gasket blew on that car. And then not my second car, my third car as well. Third car, head gasket blew. Head gasket blew. It's like, oh. And then you realize, oh, subhanAllah, when you rev the engine, how much pressure is on, all of it is on the head gasket. It's like, oh, whoops. Right? And it's like, no, be gentle to the car. Be gentle to the animal. Be gentle to the computer. Be gentle to the fork. Be gentle to the people around you. Be gentle, gentle, gentle. Right? Not a problem. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال اسمح يسمح لك. Pardon others and so shall you be pardoned. Right? I can't pardon. Why? Because I'm too emotionally cheap. I have to keep a record of what everybody single. This person did this, and this person did that, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. It's not useful at all. You don't want to pardon in marriage? Ooh, you're gonna have fun. You're not willing to let any rights that you have, any event that has ever happened where you have been wronged, you have a register of it with 4 cameras on it and a total report and a record of every single thing. You're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have a big problem. But if you're willing to overlook and forgive and forget, then you can live an easy life. I want all my employees to do exactly what I have told them to do in exactly the way I said, how I do it, and when I want it. It's not going to work. Overlook, 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 and things will be overlooked for you. You're not that amazing either, with all due respect. You're not perfect either. You also do lots of mistakes. You also cut corners. So if you want to be overlooked, overlook. Have the generosity, right? A samaha, that generosity and nobility to just forgive and forget. Not a big deal. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لا يلدغ المؤمن من جحر واحد مرتين. So notice these 2 hadiths together. Forgive and forget. But then the Prophet also said a believer is not stung from the same hole twice. Morally, I was in that wrong place. Last time I made riba, I was with so-and-so. Not going to be with so-and-so again. Last time I missed Fajr, this happened. Not going to do that again. Okay, that's morally. But also practically. Don't be a fool. So, ismah yusmah laka, forgive and you'll be forgiven. Great. The guy stole your money. I don't care. It's not worth it. He lies about it. It's okay. $100, I don't care about it. Overlooked. Not a problem. Yeah, I miscalculated. Don't worry about it. It's forgiven. Not going to make an issue. The next time, I'm going to write it down. And next time, in fact, I'm not going to leave my money with him because I need that $100 and I can't lose $100 every 2 weeks. So practically as well, don't be a fool. Last time I got into this situation, I'm not going to do the same thing again. right? Marriage. You married this person, forgive and forget. Marry the person again. No, I'm not gonna marry the person again. Thank you very much. It's okay. Like that that didn't work out. It's okay. I learned my lesson. So I've forgiven and forget. I have no grudges against this person. Forgiven, no issues. Judgment Day. I'm not going to say anything. I've forgiven every single thing they've ever done to me. Not a problem. I'm not going to marry them again. No, thank you. Right? It didn't work out. Not in that way. Or this is a situation. I can't do this. I can't do that. That's the thing that I can't do. I learned from my mistakes. Doing too many things. Not prioritizing whatever it was. Whatever it is that was happening, learn from your mistakes. Be wise. But don't be a fool. Don't get stung from the same hole twice. وعن أبي سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال ما أعطي أحد عطاء خيرا وأوسع من الصبر. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri narrates that the Prophet said, no one is granted a gift better and vaster than patience. So patience doesn't mean that you don't say anything. Patience doesn't mean that you don't do anything. Patience means that you're like, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I know with 100% certainty that this pain, this agony, this lack of whatever I have is directly from the one who cares for me more than I do, and it is a gift and it is not a withholding. That's patience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away my child because he loves me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this thing away from me so that I would be infinitely more happy than I would be if I had it. That's sabr. Now that's not easy, is it? But you can imagine somebody who has that, right? They don't suffer then. There is no sufferance because they know what's happening, right? The person who is like that is like the person who is eating their favorite food, and the pain and agony of picking up the spoon is nothing because they know what they're about to eat, right? Notice how the pain and agony of picking up a spoon, the inconvenience of picking up a spoon is zeroed in the face of when you see what you're about to put in your mouth, right? You can almost taste the food before it goes in. So there is no difficulty in picking up that spoon because you see immediately what's happening. Similarly, somebody who is spiritually awake, that's like that. Like, oh, I'm drowned. I'm being drowned. Yeah, this is called your martyrdom. Oh, my son is being tortured in front of me. So yeah, this is called this. So it hurts them on one level, just like it hurts to pick up a spoon. I mean, it's inconvenient. But when you compare the pain and agony of picking up a spoon to the ice cream that you eat, there's no real comparison, is there? It's not like, oh yeah, you paid this price for that thing. It's not really paid for anything, right? You don't even notice it. So this is how this person has is that it's not a problem. They see that al-mana' ainul ata, that being withheld from is giving itself. And so they see it like that. And it's not easy though. Right? It's not easy, but at least we can work on it by not saying something and not doing something. That's like the point where like don't say anything. Don't say anything. Right? And forcing yourself to say Alhamdulillah. You stub your toe, Alhamdulillah. You lose money, Alhamdulillah. Missed your flight, Alhamdulillah. Your child dies, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Right? Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Just keep saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It's super hard, right? But you're forcing that in and it becomes making it more and more natural. And you have to work on it before it hits. Right? Just like a training. Why do they train you in the army for such a long time? You're not going to run that far but they're training you because when it hits and you're going to be in a war, it's going to be super hard. So you need to prepare, right? تعرف على الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. Get to know Allah in easy times. Get to know Allah in easy times. Right? Work on these things while it's not so hard. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know you and give you that proper insight, proper mentality when times are hard. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال ليس الشديد بالسرعة فعله إنما الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عن الغضب. So he said that Abu Hurairah said the Prophet ﷺ said, the one who can wrestle is not a strong person. The one who can throw other people down regularly, right? The wrestler, or the wrestle hero, or the wrestling champion is not the definition. That's not what it means to be strong. Strong doesn't mean powerful. Does not mean you have power. Powerful strength is what? It's truly the person who can control himself when anger. And this is very, very important for men, right? And remember, there was this kafir, non-Muslim. He was talking about relationships, right? With it was your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. He's a non-Muslim. So he's saying you're driving in the car and your significant other says, "Oh my God, you almost hit that guy. Are you crazy? I don't even know why I let you drive." Right? So you do something pretty dumb, which is you almost hit somebody, right? It was bad driving. And so she tells you, "I don't even know why I let you drive. You're totally a bad driver. You're so irresponsible," right? So he said there's three responses you can have. Three responses you can have, right? Response number one is weakness, which is, "Oh yeah, it's true. I should probably let you drive. I don't know what to do about it." And then, "Is it okay if I stop now?" Right? That's a really, really bad way of doing things. That's wrong in a relationship, and it's wrong in Allah's eyes because you're humbling yourself to a creation. You shouldn't humble yourself to creation. Humble yourself to Allah. So what should happen is you should be humble, like Subhanallah. That is actually very bad. You feel bad before in Allah's eyes, as opposed to feeling weak in front of somebody. Right? You shouldn't be weak in somebody in front of weak before Allah. It's a difference. There's a big difference. Okay. Response number two is also weak, which is just blow up in her face. Like, excuse me, as if you can drive better than me. Who are you to tell me I think I let you drive? So when that person blows up and he cannot control his anger because his ego has been hurt, he's also weak, and that's vile, right? And so his wife does not respect him, and Allah hates him because he's proud, and this is just no barakah in this situation. This is ugly, right? Response number three is cool, calm, collected. But yeah, man, that was pretty dumb. Like not phased, right? Now, his wife respects him, right? She might still be screaming, but he's not phased. Being phased by angry people is not a good thing, right? Being phased by angry people is not a good thing. That's a low thing. So being unfazed, like it's like fine. So if there's a haqq that they're saying, like, this is wrong what you're doing, they should say, "Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I shouldn't be driving that speed." Yeah, you're right. As opposed to like totally breaking before them, like, "Oh my God, you're right. I don't know what to do." That's very low, right? That's low. When there's a male or female, right? But particularly with one's spouse, that's very low. Okay. And so being cool, calm, collected, right? And this is the haqq of a woman as well. Women are not always able to control their anger. At different times of the month, it's not always easy. The haqq of a woman is that the guy is a guy. You're a man. You don't have the same hormone issues that I have. My haqq on you as a woman is that when I go crazy, you don't. That you are the mountain that when the wind howls, it doesn't move. That's the haqq of a woman. And a woman is wronged when she has somebody who is like, "Dude, you're just an idiot." Right? Every single time I get angry with you, you get angry too. It's like, well, who's the woman? Who's the man here? Right? And so it applies to marriage, but it also applies to just general. Like, is it strong that you can slam somebody? It's not, that doesn't mean anything. Slamming them physically or verbally or whatever. It's like, right, just like, you're not, right? Bullies, who do bullies bully? They bully people who respond. If you don't respond, they don't really care. They can't wind you up, they don't bother with you. You're just like not even interesting, right? So this is very, very important. Don't be strong enough not to be wound up. Have your core as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your core is not your own ego. So somebody insults you, like, yeah, it's not whatever. It's really not an issue. I really don't care. Right? I care about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If something wrong is happening, what makes you angry is what makes you angry is what makes Allah angry. Right? So, for example, you might be angry with your child for being rude to you, or angry with the student being rude to you because you need to correct their behavior, but not you're angry for the sake of the self, right? Because that is part of pride, right? And it's just low. So that person who can control yourself when you're angry, that's what we're looking for, right? That's what we're looking for in men. That's what we're looking for in a moral person, right? In a moral person. Is that you're angry and know your limits. Know your limits. If you have to walk out, say, listen, I don't want to say something. I don't want. I shouldn't. I will regret. So I need 5 minutes. Respect that. Know your own limits. Sometimes you can't control your own anger. You can control your tongue though. Say, listen, I don't want to talk right now. And they keep talking to us like, I cannot talk right now. I need to leave, and leave. They're like, oh, you walked out on me. Yeah, you walk out. I was like, don't say anything. Know your limits, right? Don't say anything you shouldn't say to your parents, for example, to your husband, to your wife, to people, whatever it is. Just know your own limits. Just another 5 minutes inshallah. وعن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال ما من جرعة أعظم آه، أجرا عند الله من جرعة غيظ كظمها عبد ابتغاء وجه الله. Just checking the Arabic here 1 second. ما من جرع أعظم ما من جرعة أعظم أجرا عند الله من جرعة غيظ كظمها عبد ابتغاء وجه الله. Okay. Nothing is swallowed. There is no swallowing. Nothing is swallowed. That is greater in reward with Allah than a servant swallowing his anger to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this is a very important thing. Right? Keep it, hold it in, and don't say anything. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أد الأمانة إلى من ائتمنك ولا تخن من خانك. Fulfill your trust to those who entrust you and do not betray those who betray you. Right? So the first thing is easy. Fulfill your trust to those who entrust you. It makes sense. Okay, but I want to betray somebody who betrayed me. I can steal from him because he stole from me. No, you cannot do that. That's haram. Yeah, but you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't take that's called vigilantism. Vigilantism is taking the law into your own hands. He did this, so I can do this. You can't do that. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You cannot steal from or betray somebody who betrays you. Don't do it. Right? Be the noble person who is betrayed and does not betray. وعن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لا إيمان لمن لا أمانة له ولا دين لمن لا عهد له. That there is no faith for somebody who is not trustworthy. Like if you can't trust them, then they don't have any iman. And there is no complete religion of those who do not honor their covenant. You can't make a promise, you can't keep a promise, you can't do anything. Right? وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. This is from the beauty and nobility and completeness of a person's Islam is that he leaves that which does not concern him. Right? He's not low. Asking questions that don't apply, it's not relevant. Ferreting out information. You don't ask questions that aren't relevant to you. So that's low character. Be noble and find sufficiency in what you need to what you have. Right? And so being curious, right? You can be curious oh, someone's like, I'm getting married. Oh, wow, that's so nice, as opposed to no comment. That's a bit weird, right? MashaAllah, how, when, how, like to encourage, so you're asking a question to, oh, it's my birthday today. Awkward silence. Oh, how old are you? Da, 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 da. Did you get anything? Right? That's you ask a question for example, encourage them, right? As opposed to you curiosity. Curiosity in Arabic is called fudul. Fudul, right? Being going excess, like so that's low. That's not noble, right? And so again, social media, 95% of it is just low. Did you need to know that information? Did you need to know exactly what happened in Gaza today? Yeah, I just check every day. Why? Why do you check? You can interesting. Just, just like to know. That's called that's called that's called curiosity. And it's not noble at all. In fact, it's very low and very disgusting. Right? Particularly when it talks about the death of Muslims. Right? So you want to know about something because I'm going to do something about it. Right? If it applies to my deen or it applies to my dunya, I'm going to buy or I'm going to sell. As opposed to just interesting. Right? How many people are on 50,000 different groups? Right? You look at this group, for example, right? Here I have a group. There's like 500 people in this group. How many people are actually active in that group? Right? So people are just like on groups. Why are you on the group? Just interesting. You're on like 50,000 different groups. Why are you on 50,000 different groups? What do you what are they telling you? It's just wasting time, wasting your life that will never come back. Right? And so so one of the ulama, he said, all you need to do in life is three things or four things. Do the fard and the sunnah mu'akkada, the confirmed sunnahs. That's it. There's 50,000 sunnahs you can do in your life. Just the confirmed sunnahs, the really important sunnahs. Do the fard and do the really important sunnahs. Okay, great. Check. And avoiding the makruh and the haram. Check. And avoid things that don't concern you. And you're going to be the best of people in the world. If you can do what you have to do, plus the main sunnahs, and avoid the haram and avoid the makruh, right? And you can focus on what is relevant to you in your dunya and your akhirah and have nothing to do with things that are irrelevant to you in your dunya and akhirah, you're going to be the best of people, right? So that means social media, the phone, you need it like a hole in the head, right? That's as much as you need a phone, right? The phone is there to do work, right? Otherwise, it's total waste of time. So I'll just finish this chapter. So it says, وعن أبي موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال اشفعوا تؤجروا وليقضي الله على لسان نبيه ما أحب. It says intercede. When somebody is in a legal situation or they need help, be that person who comes and tries to solve the problem, and you will be rewarded. Thereafter, Allah will decide whatever He wills on the tongue of His Prophet. And so you can't change the court situation, but before that, you can intercede as much as you can. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال من لا يشكر الناس لا يشكر الله. Right? Whoever does not thank people does not thank Allah. Right? So if you don't generally feel like you there's a moral debt to Allah, right? Like we're in a debt to Allah. That's that sense that we have of worship. Like I owe Allah everything. Similarly, if you don't feel that towards other people, I don't owe anybody anything, right? Then that's really bad, right? It's like, well, they had to do that, so what's the big deal, right? And so being genuinely appreciative to people around you is super, super important and expressing it. Like go and thank people for things that they do. Thank you for existing. Thank you for being part of my life. Thank you for picking up the trash. Like imagine if you went and told the person to pick up the trash tomorrow, thank you for picking up the trash. Like, yeah, well, why'd you thank him? That's his job. So yeah, but it's different, right? You don't appreciate it. Okay, then let's take it away then. Thank you for, for protecting my city. Thank you for being my parents. Well, do they have a choice? Thank you for being my husband. Thank you for being my wife. Thank you for being my child. Thank you for this, right? Super important. Um, so very, very important. What do you expressing thanks to other people, realizing thanks in your heart? Do you actually appreciate the things that people do for you? And then actually vocalizing is very, very important. وأنا عبد الله بن عمرو عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: من أتى إليكم معروفا فكافئوه، فإن لم تجدوه فادعوا له حتى تعلموا أن قد كافأتموه. Says whoever presents any good to you, they do any nice thing, then recompense them. Do whatever you can for them. If you cannot find anything to do, so you can't pay them back, they don't need anything from you, then keep on making dua for them until you know that you've truly paid them back. Right? وعن أسامة بن زيد رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: من صنع عليه معروف فقال لفاعله جزاك الله خيرا فقد أبلغ في الثناء. That whoever does goodness, has goodness done to him, then says to its doer, may Allah reward you well, has certainly shown sufficient gratitude. Like making dua from the bottom of the heart. Okay, so we'll continue inshallah in approximately 1 month. So we have approximately, so we'll come back on the 15th or 16th. 16th is that right? 16th is a Sunday. 16th of July.
Yes, 16th Sunday.
No, 14th of July. 14th of July, inshallah. So 14th of July, inshallah, we'll resume, inshallah ta'ala. The one before that Sunday, yeah, 14th of July, inshallah ta'ala, will continue. And I believe we have, I don't know how many lessons left, about a month after that, inshallah ta'ala. We'll stop there. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان الله وبحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.